Another interesting function here is group by. This allows to create groups, and by itself this function doesn't do anything at all. I can use the function, for example, I can use the group by with different varieties of crop. In this part I have some metadata that I have in the groups, and nothing changes with the data. But what does change? When I have a data set that's grouped, the analysis unit of the other functions of the deep layer package and many others are going to interpret this set of data as if there were different data that are grouped in the same point, but they're different. So all the functions that are going to be applied will be done by group. And this is important, for example, for whenever I do a summary of the information at certain levels, like for example, sowing or the last crop. So I can use that group by combined with other functions in order to obtain those results that I want. This is an example of how it happens. If I group the data set based on the X variable, it's like if it were three different groups. And if I apply a summary here with an average, I will get the average of each one of them, and it's going to remind me the average for each one of the groups. So it's very useful to generate tables for presenting the data. This is another function that it's used combined with a group by. It's called summarize, and it's going to give us a summary. When there are too many values from the different groups, we can see this as a summary. And in this case, I apply it only to the original data. I have the average here of the yield, and it gives me a value that's the average. But if I use the group by function and then I use the summarize, you can see that the command here is the same, but since the data is grouped, the result is different. Because in this case, I would have the yield for every crop. So these two combined allows me to do this. And to finish this first part, I have a part here that's called cheat sheets, which are the the sheets that have a description of the different descriptions or the most important functions of each one of the packages. And you can find many others from different packages here also in this part of the link. You can look in Google also, and many of them are in Spanish. But generally speaking, there are more in English. Some of them are not that outdated. These packages are updated every week, but some functions change. But generally speaking, these are very useful. And this is just to use as a reference. I have a filter function to remove duplicated information. To get sampling, I can select a part. For example, only the highest values. And select is also used to choose some columns. And there are other options that we can use here. For example, we can select all the columns that finish with a text pattern. And there are many different options. So I'm just going to leave this as a reference. And it's going to be very useful for the exercises that we're going to carry out. And also how to summarize the data with the group function. And we're going to have another practical part and other exercises to understand everything that we can do and how we can solve problems with these functions. These are some additional links that can be very useful. Like, for example, and they can be used as a reference of what you can find more examples on how to use those functions.